This week, the federal government announced businesses will receive a fortnightly wage subsidy of up to $1,500 per employee in a bid to prevent millions of people from losing their jobs to the pandemic. It's part of a $130 billion economic stimulus package, the third and largest package the government has announced in response to COVID-19. For more, I'm now joined by Business New South Wales CEO Stephen Cartwright. Stephen, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon, Danica.
Firstly, we know that thousands have already signed up to this wage subsidy. What is the feedback you're getting on the announcement?
Well, actually, I think at last count, more than 500,000 businesses have already signed up, which is encouraging. We think ultimately probably more than 1 million businesses will register. That doesn't necessarily mean that all of them will necessarily qualify, but we think probably more than 1 million will register. Look, generally speaking, an incredibly huge package. When it was announced, there's no doubt the business community lifted in terms of confidence that they would be able to make it through to the other side of this crisis, that they'd be able to hold on to as many of their staff as they possibly could. The reality, of course, is that there's a fair few grey areas about how it's exactly going to work. And so we're busily trying to find out all the answers to those questions so that we can help businesses to navigate some of those grey areas.
Federal Parliament will sit on Wednesday to pass the $130 billion package. Do you think that there should be any amendments?
Well, there's some issues around, for example, a small business member of ours who has about 10 permanent staff and then about 10 casuals who work, small hours every week. They're going to be looking at a situation where their business is closed. They're going to be passing on a substantial pay rise to their casuals. The casuals didn't earn anywhere near $1,500 a fortnight before. But at the same time, they're having to tell their permanent employees that they have to drop down to $1,500 a fortnight. So look, there's some interesting issues that arise when you start to look at the practical application of the way that this subsidy is framed. And look, please understand that I'm not being critical of the government here. They have come to save the business community and the jobs of this country with a spending package of $130 billion, which is completely unprecedented. And don't think for one second that the business community is not appreciative of that effort. It's just that the rules around how it applies, I think, maybe require a little bit of fine-tuning.
From a New South Wales perspective, the state government has also announced a $750 million small business package. What will that mean for small and family business owners in the state?
Yeah, so look, the good news is that to some extent the federal and state government in New South Wales have been acting in a complementary way in terms of their support packages. And the first two stimulus packages that were announced by the state government, there wasn't a lot in it for smaller businesses, those that didn't pay payroll tax, and that's about 90% of all the business community in New South Wales. What we were talking to the government here about was the fact that there are these smaller businesses that don't get any benefit from payroll tax waiver or payroll tax deferrals. And the real issue for a lot of these businesses is they're quite excited about the opportunity, for example, to apply for the JobKeeper allowance that's being promoted by the federal government. But of course, to do that, they have to go and see their accountant to work out whether they first of all qualify, and if they do, what paperwork is going to be needed to be submitted regularly to the ATO in order to get those monies flowing through. We've said to the state government, look, smaller businesses could really do with a one-off cash injection that allows them to go and get that professional advice to figure out how they are going to survive through this crisis and make sure they take advantage of all of the other stimulus packages and support packages that have been offered by state, federal and to some extent local governments as well, and also negotiate with their bank, negotiate with their landlord. We've still got all the commercial code of practice issues with tenants and landlords to come yet. So we said to the state government, look, it would be great if these smaller businesses that have effectively had to close, and think about some of the small businesses on the south coast of New South Wales who lived through the drought, then lived through the bushfires where they missed out on all of their summer trade, and then now they're saying stay away from the south coast, don't go on holidays. these poor business communities have just been smashed. So well done to the state government, well done to Treasurer Perrottet and to Premier Berejiklian. It's a very welcome addition to all of the other stimulus that's out there, and we're saying to small businesses with under 20 employees in New South Wales that have been impacted by the coronavirus, go to Service New South Wales, make application, get your $10,000, but go and see your accountant or your financial advisor and get some strategic advice about how you're going to make it through this thing.
Some really good advice there, and certainly very tough times ahead. Business New South Wales CEO Stephen Cartwright, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Danica.